So I'm just going to talk about like Ready to Code today at SPL, the specific workshop that we did, which is that the world's slowest computer, some final thoughts, and I can just have some Q&As. So first I wanted to talk about how we connect the Ready to Code overarching goals. So in terms of embedding youth voice, we created a program that had youth leaders who were mentors and co-facilitated the workshops with the librarians. And I'm going to talk a little more in detail later on. Engaging with family and community, we brought these workshops to communities of high needs in the Seattle area. And then our outcomes have been measured by a report from a evaluator. We actually had a panel with one of our youth leaders, and we also had some surveys. So we designed this program with 3 goals in mind. We wanted to have librarians being able to facilitate the workshop on computational thinking concepts. And we wanted to have teens gain leadership skills while assisting the librarians in these workshops. And then we wanted to bring the computational thinking to low-income communities in Seattle. That's the right there, right-hand side is a flyer of the workshop that we have. And I'm gonna talk in details of what is this world's slowest computer. So one of the things that we found out that we did was to have the groups of librarians come together with the teens, and then they went through a training on how to do the workshop together. And we thought that that was like a really successful form of engaging them to create in a space where the teens felt already with some new roles and leadership roles, and being there with the librarian one-on-one was really key to the success later of implementing the program. So the workshop, the slowest computer, the world's slowest computer, the actual workshop, we designed it to have these specific objectives, right? So the participants will be able to describe the components of a basic computer, identify what is the relationship between software and hardware, how they relate to each other, and then have them understand how computers actually don't know what they're doing, but there are actually rules that have to be manipulated, and then you have to follow, they execute instructions, right, on a linear way in order for them to complete the tasks. So the world's slowest computer is a grid that we create with sponges, just like kitchen sponges, and they're all facing on the yellow side, like you're seeing here. And then you receive a program, a set of instructions. So if you think of this setup as the actual grid of your display with pixels, and then this is the program that you receive. And after you receive the program, you execute line by line on the program, and like they're doing over here. So they're going through the program, the Post-it notes are the memories, and then the sponges are the grid. And after the program, if you have completed it successfully, there will be some image or something that will come out on the display. So we found out that what was really great about this was like this tactile part of it, and how it allowed to slow down the process of computing, and then establishing that relationship between software and hardware, and then again, like how people understand how computers really only do what we tell them to do. And then this is, we have like a game, it's a sort of like a gamify workshop. Teams compete to see who completes the program the fastest. And then we found out that what that does is allows for a lot of group work. They assign roles, so they decide in that group what what role to take. They're collaborating. They're also applying persistence and correcting mistakes, right? All practices that go to computational thinking. So this was like the participants. We have 4 locations in racially and economically diverse. And it was like 1 librarian and 1 youth leader, sometimes more. And these are the libraries. Most of them are in the south part of Seattle, except for Douglas Truss, which is in the central district. Some of the successes that we found is that it was really engaging and at different age groups. Many of them actually, younger kids were able to connect really well. We were doing it for 16 and up, but then we had some younger ones and it was really, really easy for them to follow. And because of this sort of interactive, tactile, hands-on, it was really easy to introduce like complex concepts like information manipulation, programming, and coding. Challenges that we still have, and this is throughout the system. We had issues with recruitment. It's some things that in outreach, something that it's not unique to this workshop, but we still have it. Because the librarian was facilitating these, I saw that it was hard for them to understand how important and structure is, right, when facilitating. And then there was some struggles in maintaining the engagement throughout, right? And I said like sweat the details over there because I feel that good workshops require pay attention to everything, to how the space is set up, to what the projector is displaying, and do you have all the materials available? Many of them have that, 100%. And then the other thing is that this workshop is only successful if you make really clear connections between what's happening in the activity and this high level concept, right, of like a computer executes a code line by line, or the memory it's used to store information, etc. So in terms of like the teams, we found out that creating this leadership opportunity, providing them with several opportunities like to provide feedback, right? When they came to the PD over here, they actually were able to give suggestions about how to change the workshop. They also were the ones that you can try this with the younger kids. They also had this opportunity to identify themselves as leaders when they came to work with the librarians, not only work, but also train with them, right? And then this opportunity to be heard was something interesting and really great, because there are times when the librarian is facilitating the work and then they will give the mic, so to speak, to the team, right? The librarian will defer the instruction to the team. And so providing them that opportunity to be heard by other peers and librarians was really successful. We talk about peer support. I think this is like what worked for us was like having different ways in how the support worked, which is like working during the workshops and teaching alongside the librarian, but also being mentors to their peers, and then the collaboration that they were doing prior to the workshop with the librarian. We found out that we need to have clear expectations to them in order to support it. Time to prepare was essential. And then relationships. It all comes down to what relationships the librarian had with the teams and the community, making sure that this was like an open network and then support them throughout. These are some of the things that we heard from the librarians, right? Like one of the things that they say is that now they were able to understand better computational thinking and computer things, computer concepts that the kids actually were manipulate really well. And then also for them to think about how this relates to the things they do day to day, but also being able to now provide better support to their teams and the community. What we found in here during this workshop is it was like really successful because it was like this hands-on, fun, and meaningful way to engage in with computational thinking. Also, the fact that we were preparing the teams with the librarians to lead the workshops was another great and successful implementation of the program. And then making sure that these explicit connections with when the workshop is taking place was key to just bring to a full circle. And again, relationships equals like successful implementation of the program. The better the relationships the librarian had with the teams and the community, the more successful the implementation of the workshops were. I'm gonna leave you with this quote, like for a librarian that said that it was a great session and that she's more thankful now for computers because she understood like how much work they actually do. And that's it.